So today I'm joined with a Bhenji that goes by the handle at @thatxsquad on Instagram. Bhenji, I'll hand it over to you to introduce yourself.
Hey, so I'm that X-Core. I'm an online influencer on Instagram. Also got a YouTube channel, and also have a TikTok page. All go by that X-Core. Apart from the TikTok, there's that X-Core official. I'm a fashion influencer to some extent, and I'm a freelance fashion stylist and photographer.
Cool. So Bhenji, let's start with your Sikhi journey. So if you tell me more about that, how it started, where you're at now with it as well.
So my Sikhi journey essentially started when I was 13, roughly. It started before then, because my mum would take me to like Gurbani class and places like that, and like a Gurdwara on Sundays and stuff. So it started at a young age, but I never really quite understood it to an extent until I was like around 13. And that's when I decided to join Gatka as well. When I started joining Gatka, like we would do Sakya there as well as not just learning Gatka. So we were learning Gatka, we were learning Sakya, and just like the whole Sangat group as a whole. Also during that time I was doing Kirtan, and I was learning the Vajja and everything. So we used to have Kirtan darbars and stuff. So I had like my own Sangat that I had. So just like seeing them in their Sikhi journey and seeing myself, it just felt like there was something missing. Started going to like Kirtan programs, like the bigger ones. So once going to them, I realized like, like there's actually like a whole Sangat, there's this whole like people actually following the proper lifestyle. It's not just, a name as such or a title. So I was like, you know what, I want to go more down into this route. And at the time, I think I was around 16, 17. And Sikhi really helped me as a whole, just to get through life, especially when there was like tough times during college times and all that. So yeah, at 18, I decided to take Amret. But throughout this whole journey, I had so many issues I was dealing with. I was learning. Like before I took Amrit, I had experienced bullying in regards to like having really thick eyebrows. And back then, having really thin eyebrows was trending.
It was.
So yeah, so me having like even the eyebrows that I have now, they're trending now. Like 10 years, 10 years later, they're trending. No, not even 10, 7 years later, they're trending. But back then, these were bushy. I used to like get picked on, and it wasn't like the best feeling. It was just like it really pulled me down in my self-esteem. And yeah, I did like give in because at the time I hadn't taken them. I wasn't completely down this path. I did get my eyebrows done a few times, and obviously just to like fit in.
Mm-hmm.
But then when obviously I it was conflicting because I was going down the Sikhi route, then I was doing my eyebrows, and I was like, this doesn't add up. Like I need to stop. But to be honest, I didn't get them done all the time. I think I only got them done a handful of times. But in that time period, I was like, you know what, this doesn't go hand in hand. I need to stop. Like I need to be brave. And yeah, so over time, I stopped doing my eyebrows, started feeling more self-confident with the gears that I did have. And before I took Amrit, I was confident with what my appearance was and how I was in general, that I didn't need to change anything or, But yeah, then I was 18 when I took Amrit, in Patna Sahib in India.
Oh wow, back home as well.
Yeah, back
Oh
home.
nice. You know what? You saying that is it's like looking in a mirror because I'm at that stage of wanting to experience Sikh a lot more, but I do get my eyebrows done occasionally, and I feel like that is something that I'm trying to work on, like trying to build that sort of confidence to go out with bushy eyebrows because yeah, a few years ago I had stick eyebrows. They were very thin. That was the fashion. But now trying to get used to the bushiness, it's not easy, and I feel like a lot of Kaurs would agree with me when I say that it is very difficult to be going out in public, people can't help themselves. They will say something, they will talk about it, they will make your life a bit difficult. And I feel like this is where a lot of girls like yourself, because I feel like you're such a voice for Sikh women, especially being in the public eye and all, you being on that platform and being able to talk to other girls and tell them that it's actually okay,
Yeah.
and making it the norm, that is really helpful, not only for myself, but I think loads of people will agree. So how can you push young girls, or how can I push myself into thinking it's actually okay to have bushy brows and a mustache? Because yeah, that's not easy.
So I have a friend that's also in transition. Like, she wants to go down this path. She's also conflicting. But I've told her, take it step by step. Don't rush.
Mhm.
The more you're going to rush, the more chances there are for you to fall back. And obviously, there's nothing worse that you can do than fall back on your journey of Sikhi,
Yeah.
because it's just going to get harder to get back up and actually take the steps again.
Yeah.
So I've always said, especially with like eyebrows, take it step by step. So, for example, what I did was, because obviously just stopping all of a sudden and going from really thick eyebrows to bushy eyebrows is a big change. Like, people are going to notice it. They're going to be like, oh, you haven't done your eyebrows, like,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So what I did was, I decided that I was going to not do the main bulk of the eyebrow, but because I had like a monobrow, which, you know what, surprisingly over time it's like faded away, like it's barely
What? No,
there. Yeah,
see, I feel like with my hair, you'll be able to see it.
no, I promise you, my sister's the same. That she's never done, my younger sister, she's never done her eyebrows, but her monobrow's fading away. Like, I don't know I don't know the science behind it, but it's like not as vivid as it was like 5 years ago, kind of thing.
I might have to Google that.
Yeah, I don't know the science, trust me. I don't know how it works. But anyways, I then stopped doing the bulk of the eyebrow and just like left the middle, which I would pluck, which is really bad, but that was the only way I could take a step forward. So then my next mission would have been to stop plucking the middle part of my eyebrow. So if there was any one or two strands or a couple of strands, I needed to just suck it up and be like, actually, no, it's okay. Like, it's okay to have eyebrows. Like, you don't have to fit in, you know, for you to feel confident. So I think it took me, I think probably took me 2 years in process. Like, in the first year, I was able to stop doing like my bulk on my eyebrow, but it was just the middle bit, because I used to get picked on a lot for that, like public humiliation, kind of that level. It
It's
wasn't like
easy for us because our skin tone, you can actually see black hairs. Like, it's very difficult to keep your eyebrows undone in the middle, because you will be able to see it.
yeah, 100% you'll be able to see it. And because obviously I had so many bad experiences and I didn't really know what to do, and I never really told anyone back then, because I'm the oldest in the family, so I had no one really to go to. My parents, obviously they were busy with work, and I'm one of four, so it's not entirely easy for me to just go to my parents and be like, yo, like, this is happening. Like, a lot of the time they don't even know what they're going to do, kind of thing. But yeah, so I would say take it step at a time, and especially even like with the upper lip and stuff. I've never actually done my upper lip.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have one. It's just like, even my sisters, like, I guess it's obviously different for every single one. Some women have more facial hair than probably others, so it would be a different journey for every single person. But like with me, because my mum was always like, no, you're not doing the upper lip, kind of thing, until like it got bad. But then, because I just diverted from being a normal person to in Sikhi, so I never really experienced that side of things, does that make sense? But I guess even with the upper lip, it's a process. So if you're not 100% confident, you know what, it sounds really bad, like, bleaching is also a detour from what Sikhi teaches you, but at the end of the day, I think it's a process of learning to accept yourself. So if it is really bad for one, that is an option to them to then take another step forward, because at least they're not removing it then. But then obviously you're not supposed to be dyeing your hair in general. So, but I guess it's a learning curve. No one's perfect. So I guess the next step would then be to learn to, like, even if it's not bleached, learn to love. Because I mean, even with bleaching, it's still obvious it's there. Like you can still see it. It's like, you know, it's still
like I said,
difficult.
especially on our skin tone, because it comes out yellow almost. So.
Yeah, exactly. So you can see, like, when you're face to face with someone, you can see it. It's there. But yeah, it's just learning to accept yourself at the end of the day. It's a step at a time, because obviously with the beauty standards in this day and age, it doesn't come easy. But yeah.
No, exactly. And I feel like it must be difficult for you now. So how long have you been in the public eye for? As in, how long have you been doing the influencer? 4 years.
4 years.
So you say that the majority of hate that you get online is because of your guests, or is there other things?
A lot of things. It could be my clothing.
Yeah.
It could be the type of video I post. So if it's a comedy post, they'll be like, why are you doing this? Like, you should be proud. Despite that, it takes me 30 seconds to make that post.
Yeah.
Like, it actually takes me, it's a 15-second video. I could make 2 versions of it in 30 seconds. Like, I don't think people understand the process. Like, I'm not getting ready for the video. I'm already ready. So I'm going to spend 15 seconds of my life just to make something so I can post, right?
I feel like everyone acts like once you've been blessed with Amret, you're not allowed to have fun, and that's not okay, because then you're making this whole journey look very difficult. And I feel like a lot of people are very quick to jump on anything and anyone that seems like they're doing something apart from bad, which is not the case. You're not. I mean, Guruji didn't say don't have fun, so doing something like making a 15-second video is not gonna hurt.
No, and taking into consideration we're in 2020 now, right? Back then they didn't have internet, they didn't have videos.
Yes.
So they would have spent 15 seconds doing something else, maybe even playing, I don't know, marbles or something. Or game, you know? Like, I think people forget that aspect of things. So yeah, I get hate on the videos, I get hate on the clothes, because, you know, we have to wear suits and the whole process.
Wear suits, all of them.
And then I get hate on removing hair.
Okay.
Like, that I know, my family knows that I don't.
See, but this is what I mean. It's very weird, because we're trying to learn how to love our hair, and then I feel like when someone says you're removing your hair, it might be a low-key compliment, because you're like, oh, do you know what? It doesn't actually look that bad then.
No, but exactly. No, but it's a compliment. But then it's also an insult, because it's well, you're saying that to me, right? But what do you expect a woman to look like then? Like, what's your vision of female beauty? And then instead of thinking, obviously, you know, each woman is different in their own way, you're like automatically saying, no, if a woman doesn't shave, she's supposed to be hairy. You know? And I think that's embedded in us as well. Like, we think, like, when I was younger, I used to be like, okay, if I don't remove any hair, I'm gonna be hairy. But like, if you actually let it grow out, there's, like, for some people it's not even much, and for others it could be, you know. It all depends on the hormone levels. But I think it's just like me growing up my whole life knowing that I should be removing my hair when I wasn't, to the extent, you know, that I could have, and then now being told that I don't remove my hair, that I do remove, like,
conflicting.
So I'm like, okay, so I get hate on me removing my hair when I don't. But
society is built like this image of what a woman's meant to look like. Maybe that's just based on the media, what we've seen in like magazines and stuff, but it's really hard to just ignore. I feel like for women nowadays, it's really hard to ignore that picture of that, ideal woman,
Yeah.
of what an ideal woman's meant to look like. No hair on their legs, no hair on their arms, like it is very difficult, and I think that's probably a struggle for myself as well, and getting comments like, I actually had someone speak to me the other day, and they were saying that their family isn't the most supportive. Now, I'm very lucky because my family are quite
Mm,
supportive of the path that I'm taking, but for someone whose family aren't so supportive and getting comments like, "Who's going to marry you?"
yeah. I've
It's
had
not easy. It is really not easy, and I do feel bad for people that, and I don't think she's the only one that has to hear those comments, not just from family, but I feel like you just hear it from anyone. Who's going to marry
yeah.
you if you've got so much hair on your face,
Hmm.
or if you've got a beard? And that doesn't make it easier for anyone as well. So it really needs to, I feel like the Sikh community doesn't talk when we're meant to be talking. We kind of go silent on topics like this. And
Hmm.
this is something that more people like yourself need to talk about, because it will help people go down the right path. It's this idea of Sangat and how important Sangat is in Sikhi as well, and having the right Sangat, even if it's online, because everything is online these days.
Yeah.
Um, Having online Sangat is very important, um, because I feel like, for me, right now, I live in a town where there is no Sikhs, none at all. I feel like I am the only one at
Cool.
some point. Obviously, I'm living out for uni, so there's no Sikhs around here, so I don't have the experience of having Sangat around me. There's no Gurdwara here. The closest Gurdwara is like 40 minutes away. So it's very difficult. I feel like now that I've got the Sikhi class platform, it's nice because I do get to talk to Sangat, and I do hear, discussions like that where Gaurs are messaging, because they realize I am a Gaur myself, and they'll message and be
Yeah.
like, "Oh, how do you keep your guests?" Not realizing that I haven't been blessed with Amrit yet, and I'm still learning about it, and I can only give
Hmm.
advice to an extent, which is why I feel like it's very important to talk to you about it today as well, because I feel like a lot of people want to hear um, actual answers to their questions, and not me just going, I don't know, I need to help
Yep.
myself. um, but yeah, on the topic of that, I watched your video, how I ended up taking Amrit, and you explained that the thing that made it easier for you was Bard, and you talked briefly about the power of Bard. So can you explain that briefly?
Before I took Amrit, I was I was going to the divans and stuff, but then also I was trying to keep like my Amrit Villa and stuff. So it was sometimes on and off, but I was trying my best to stay on, and doing my Amrit Villa, doing my Rera stuff, and it gets to the point when you do it so regular that if you don't do it, it feels like you're missing something in life, and you want to get to the level, obviously, that you're doing your part every day, so they feel it's like a part of you. Also, it really helps align your thinking and your thought process. So when you do your part, you realize like you go into like I don't know about anyone else, but for me, I definitely went into more of a deeper spiritual level. So if there was like discussions or arguments or anything, I would really like step back and really analyze everything rather than jumping into it and just start arguing on whatever side I want to argue on, kind
Hmm.
of thing. That I got to that level where I was like, you know what, like even like in my own life, I was like, am I doing the right thing? Like, is this the person I want to be? And would my guru be happy with what I am doing? So like questions like that started like popping into my mind, and I started analyzing things, and I was like, you know what, like Amrit's actually missing in my life. I need to work towards it. So before I took Amrit, I did start wearing my dastar, and I think I started wearing my dastar 6 months before I took Amrit.
Yeah.
So that was so January time. I was like, you know what? I just was like, I need to start wearing the star. Like it's something that I'm missing, and it's like a uniform. So I was like, I'll take it a step at a time. So I then started wearing my the star, and was like, okay, so what's my next step, kind of thing? How do I want to grow as a person? How do I want to grow my faith? So yeah, I think Bart really helped me in that aspect. Like it really made me think about what was right for my life and what wasn't, and what I needed to do to change.
So was there anything that helped you in terms of keeping your gears, like specifically? Was it Bart, or was there something else that pushed you to?
So with my Sangat, a lot of them didn't remove their gears.
Okay.
So I had like this 50-50 lifestyle kind of thing. So I had
Hmm.
at school, which was like, you know, all beauty standards. There was girls having like, they were on some drink diet. And I'm like,
Drink diet.
I'm like, you're in year 9. You don't need to be on a diet, firstly. They weren't
Yeah.
overweight. They were really skinny and they were
Oh,
like
what, like
drinking.
the water diet where they just drink water?
No, there was some sort of shake or something.
Oh.
They were like, okay, well, then they were really hooked up on hair, makeup, dressing, going out, and that was a lot of the people around me.
Mm.
But obviously, I wasn't that type of person that was so hooked in. But it affects you to a certain extent when you're listening to this all day and every day, kind of thing. And then the other half of my lifestyle was when I wasn't in school, I had my sangat, so I felt more comfortable there. I felt more welcomed, and I think that just grew me as a person. And then as a person, I was like, you know what? I don't need to obtain all this crap that I've been influenced as such. And I'm like, okay, I can stand up on my own 2 feet. And because everyone knew like I was doing gatka and stuff like that, even at school, they were a bit more wary in the sense like if we were to fight her, she'll probably slam us down. So they all had this like subtle,
Oh,
perception of
yeah.
me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So so then that I think really helped me as a person because I was like, you know what, they mess with me, yeah, I'm a kind of thing. So I kind of like took a good big step. I think also I had this one big incident back in school when someone actually cut my gears without me knowing.
What?
Yeah, so I was sat in lesson, someone like came behind me, like cut some of my gears off from the back. It
What
just
school did you go to? Because this doesn't sound normal.
oh no, it's not normal. No, so that happened
Oh,
when I escalated things. I took it to the head of the school. I took it out. I didn't blow it out of proportion. Technically, it's assault. She shouldn't have cut my hair.
definitely.
And by the fact, 6 weeks, I think, well, yeah, 6 weeks probably, continuously, she was asking me the same question. Why don't you cut your hair? And I would actually answer the question every single time she asked me, you know? And despite that, she still went around and did it. So, yeah, I think that obviously impacted me in general.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what, like, imagine if I was wearing a stud, this would have not happened. And I didn't cut my like gears on my head. I've never cut my gears on my head.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a lot for me to take in because I loved having long hair.
Mm.
And I think out of my whole class, there was only 2 of us that had long hair in general. And everyone loved it because they loved seeing the long hair because no one else had it,
Mm.
kind of thing. So that was the only thing that was keeping me going because I had something that everyone else wanted but they didn't have. So yeah, I in general, I guess having the sangat outside really helped me push me in the way like, you know what, you can do it. Like you don't need to listen to anyone else, kind of thing.
The fact that it was another woman as well, even if she wasn't Sikh or didn't quite understand it, that needs to change. I feel like that's when it's not just Sikh women, it's a battle for all women. We all actually need to stand together. And it comes to that discussion of having another woman's back. See, I was very lucky. My best mate, she's like my little sister. Me and her have been friends since year 10. And so I went through my transition as such, or started my transition as such, during A levels. And so I had that support from her, where she was very much so like, you can do it, like just do it. Like she's very into her faith as well, so me looking at that and being like, oh, I want that for myself.
Yeah.
I want to feel what she's feeling, because she's always just so calm and happy all the time. So and me, I used to get angry very quickly. Things used to get to me very, very quickly, but she would just be so unbothered. It's like it takes a lot to annoy her, and she had this outlook of like, it's okay if God's there, God's listening, it's fine. And I wanted that for myself, and I think that pushed me. So even if it's not Sikh Sangat, having Sangat in general that are very supportive is very good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, so I went to India in 2017. I went to Sri Harmandir Sahib, and since then I haven't looked back. Like, I let go of meat, I don't eat eggs, I keep the majority of my guests, but my
Yeah.
facial care is a different story. But I feel like, yeah, like you said, having a good sangat is very important, and it's something that I've spoken about in my previous podcast as well, about the importance of Sangat. And moving on from that, you made a video as well called I Love My Guests,
Mm-hmm.
with a few other Kaurs, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
So how did that video come about? Because that is a very powerful video as well.
I think at the time there was some sort of something was going on in the media. I don't know if a call was like, I don't know if it was like some sort of issue that came up or that it was experienced by a call. And then it was just obviously to highlight the fact that not everyone removes their hair, you know? You don't, like, there are people out there that don't remove all their hair, and that doesn't make you any less beautiful of a person. And I think that was just obviously to enhance the whole situation, and obviously teach people that, you know, there is more to beauty than just looking at a woman's hair and how she keeps it, kind of thing. So yeah, I think that was the reason why I made that video as such, and obviously just to support the whole movement that was going on at the time, with all the cause and their stories about their cases and everything.
And just briefly touching back on your Amrit Sanjad, how was that? Because I haven't done that yet, or taken that step. So could you like talk me through the events, or what happened, or even from the minute that you thought I was going to do it to the moment that it actually happened?
So I didn't know I was going to take Amrit until I took it, kind
Really?
of thing. Yeah, I was still very double-minded at the time. Not because that I don't want to take Amrit. It was more that I want to. I don't know if I'll be able to maintain it to the level, because I'm very self-critical.
Okay.
I do anything, I'll criticize myself for what I've done. So like, even if I've made food, I'll criticize my own food, even though it tastes like, I'm very critical of like what I do and the way I think and stuff. So perfect is very difficult for me to obtain. And sometimes I have to be like, you know what, just do it, because who knows when you're going to be perfect, kind of thing. Essentially, I wanted to take, like, you know how you have Amrit, then you have Jola. Yeah, so I was thinking of taking the first step of, you know, having a Jola, and then Amrit maybe a year later, or, you know, so taking it step by step. My younger sister, she had taken Amrit, and my sister younger than her, she was going to take Amrit at Patna Sahib. And I don't know what happened, but I'll just say Maharaj Di Kripa nal, like, I ended up taking Amrit at that time. So yeah, just to like prepare yourself, it was just essentially, you know, you have to wear your panch kakar, because I wasn't wearing my kakars before I took
Okay.
Amrit. I know some people do, but I just never got around to thinking about that aspect of life, kind of thing. Like, I had my makara, but apart from that, I didn't have my ganga, I didn't have my kirpan, kushara, and I had my gifts. So I had 2 out of the 5, kind of thing. So yeah, just I had to make sure that I had all of those on me before the Amrit. Also, I had to make sure that if I was wearing a dastar back then, so I had to make sure my dastar could open up from the top,
Okay.
because they put Amret on your head as well, but
Oh,
it
okay.
has to go to your dasam duar. So I had to make sure that my dastar could just be like lifted from the top a little bit, so there's like a bit of an opening. Yeah, so that was one aspect I had to keep in mind. But apart from that, the rest just flows through. So the minute the Panch Pyare are really like helpful in that sense. They tell you exactly what you need to do, where you need to sit. And usually you need to have at least minimum of 5 people
Okay.
to be able to sit at any
Uh,
place. So
okay.
yeah. At the time, the Amrit Sanchar was specially held for us. We were requested it. They were like, as long as we have 5 people. And we were traveling with other people that wanted to take Amrit. So it was just a coincidence that we had 5 people at the time. So we didn't have any problems with, getting numbers to be able to take Amrit.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Okay, that's interesting because I didn't know the majority of that.
Oh, I
So
didn't know until my sister took Amrit, which was a week before I took Amrit.
yeah. Did she take
Yeah.
it in India as well?
Yeah, also.
How did your family react to your transition as such?
So essentially, with my parents, they were quite supportive. Yeah, because my mum's she's wanted to take Amrit, but she's never fully been able to as such. So my parents haven't taken Amrit. So going from obviously, no one in my family is Amritari. Like my dada dadi aunt, my nana aunt, my mummy, jaje, bua, like no one's really Amritari. I might have one, but like that's even extended. That's not even like immediate family. Like it'll probably my daddy's cousin or something like that. And then there's a few Amritari, like so that's not in their kids as well. It's only in the grandparents.
Right.
So it's never actually seeped through enough. So I could say that I have a cousin that's down this path as well. They're all not interested in this aspect of things. So my parents were quite supportive. My dad's rule was, if you decide to wear the star, just remember it's forever. It's not temporary. So he was like, if you're going to do it, and if you're going to start wearing it out in public, because I was practicing at home, but he was like, once you wear it out in public, there's no going back.
Mm-hmm.
So just think about it. And that was his way of saying, like, you don't want to fall back in Sikhi after taking steps forward, and obviously disappoint your guru, like in general, because you're moving forward and then moving back.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so he was supportive in that sense, but he just said that one thing, is that if you do go down that path, there's no going back. So think about it. But generally, they were very supportive. My extended family, when I was going to take Amrit, they were constantly saying, "Don't take Amrit, like don't do it. You're gonna regret it. What's the point?" Blah blah blah. I'm like, you're judging an experience that you've never felt.
Yeah.
And just from that, you won't be able to stop me from taking Amrit, because I've felt everything that I've experienced, because obviously when I'm going to Kirtan Dabas, Anand and everything, and it's very overwhelming, but it's the most beautiful thing that you can experience. And you always want to be in that journey, that you want to be able to experience that level of enlightenment, I guess if I could put it into words. But yeah, they weren't supportive at all, but my parents were. So they just said, you know what, we're supportive, doesn't matter whatever anyone else says or thinks, just do what you want to do, kind of thing. So I know there's people out there that don't have supportive parents, But I guess it's just showing them the light that you are experiencing will help them understand in the long run, like why you want to do what you want to do.
And how can people show them that light?
So, like, for example, like if you're from a family that doesn't go to Kirtan, darbars, or anything like that, maybe take them with you, and they'll be able to see the Anand, they'll be able to see it at least.
Mm.
The next step is feeling it,
Mm.
right? But we're able to see it like on everyone's faces. You can see it. Just it's very powerful, especially when you go to the bigger programs. So yeah, I would say like maybe take them to places like that. Maybe teach them like Sakya, and just show there's actually stuff like this out there. Like there is another level to experience and not just your daily life.
Last sort of question. Do you have any advice for young Kaurs who are going through the transition in terms of their guess and in terms of self-love almost and acceptance?
I think, like I said before, probably step at a time. Don't rush. Take it a step at a time to love yourself. Love your flaws. It's not easy. And maybe even limit yourself on social media. Because social media just seems like pretty girls, they'll be like, well, I'm not that pretty. You know, it's just going to push your self-esteem down rather than building it up. So obviously I think social media is like a big thing. Like, I mean, not as such as movies and TV shows aren't as bad, and they do influence you, but not to the extent that social media does. Because when you're
Yes.
scrolling, that's it. You're gone. And
It's true.
usually what happens is the algorithm will pick out posts that you've been looking at. So it's just going to show you more.
Yeah.
You know? And breaking out of that loop is going to be very difficult for your social media, because you're going to either have to change your post content that you're watching,
Mm.
and that's going to be difficult because you're just so indulged in the beauty that they have that you're like, I want to see how I can change myself. Then you're going to start getting posts about how you can do this and how you can do that, how you can change your eye shape to a cat eye or blah blah blah. So, or get Kylie Jenner lips, and you don't want that, because that's not self-love. It may be for some, but it's not self-acceptance to who you are, the way Guru teaches us to love ourselves.
So thank you, Bhenji, for joining me today. Obviously, you must be so busy and stuff, and I've woken you up so early in the morning for this as well. But just quickly, for anyone that may not have heard of you before, where can they find you?
So you can find me on Instagram, thatxcore. Same as my YouTube channel is also thatxcore. And my TikTok account, if they want to entertain themselves, is thatxcore official.